Well, thanks, Nick. How's my sound?
It's great.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Thanks for having me, everyone. Again, my name is Gigi Merkel, and I'm a manager at the Association for Energy Affordability, or AEA. AEA is a technical assistance and training nonprofit focused on delivering energy affordability, climate resilience, and decarbonizing multifamily building stock specifically. So I started working on Realize California with RMI in 2019, and I'll be talking about lessons learned from our demonstration pilot projects, which are funded by the California Energy Commission. So on this slide are the locations of our current pilot demonstrations, which are throughout California. All of these projects are in disadvantaged communities, or DACs, which was an abbreviation you might have heard before. They're in different climate zones and represent around 350 units of affordable units, and are around 300,000 square feet. Construction is complete at 2 of the 4 sites, and 2 of our projects will be complete by Q3 next year. So across these sites, we are demonstrating different retrofit packages tailored to specific low-rise building types that we've identified are common to multifamily buildings across California. And at the end of our project, we'll understand which emerging technologies, approaches, or retrofit packages are best suited to scale beyond these pilots. Next slide, please. So when we were selecting technologies and defining the packages, our team developed a design criteria and metrics for us to track. Mainly, we aim to keep tenants in mind throughout the design and ultimately the demonstration. So a lot of these benefits are listed here. I'll just read them off. So the retrofits should be rapid, non-intrusive. We want to improve indoor air quality and safety for residents, improve indoor thermal comfort as well, and of course, keep utility bills the same, if not lower, as before. Next slide, please. And so how are we trying to achieve that criteria? I've listed below a few approaches we've taken to deliver on that. We're still actively learning best practices as our pilots are still underway, and I've heard some amazing ideas today about engaging tenants, and hopefully we'll apply those to our other pilots. But I think these points here will also be applied to the Realize model as we scale and try to retrofit buildings across California. So first, we conducted pre and post retrofit surveys and interviews. In other projects that AEA has done, we typically communicate directly with building owners, but for this, we're often aware that tenants know what the real issues are, especially with older buildings. So the surveys are beneficial to have during the design process and helped us prioritize retrofit needs, not just owner needs, but tenant needs. And we're planning on post-construction surveys at different intervals. So right at the end of construction, during initial commissioning, a month out, and then 6 months to a year out, just to really understand if we are delivering the benefits that we're claiming. Overall, our retrofits focus on fuel switching. So this was discussed earlier, but just getting gas out of buildings, improving the envelope, and pairing that with improved ventilation, really all at once or within consistent or the same time frame can improve health and safety. And we are actively monitoring, or we will be sharing results of our indoor air quality monitoring, as well as performance of the retrofits once our pilots are done. Again, in terms of delivering our retrofits, when we were selecting emerging technology, we really wanted to prioritize insulation approaches that were exterior applied and minimally invasive to avoid tenant move-outs, ensure there's just minimal disruption overall during the construction process, because for typical retrofits, it can be a year to 2 years. Sometimes tenants move So we, in the design of, in the selection of the technology, we wanted to try to avoid that upfront. So for example, we have prefabricated envelope panels. They're installed from the outside instead of the interior. We were looking for designs that avoid tearing out drywall, which can be a very destructive process in apartments. And again, a lot of the HVAC technologies, we were trying to minimize the time contractors are on site. So looking for products that really combine that are multifunctional. So combine heating and cooling and ventilation in one box. So that was kind of a strategy there. And then just when you're dealing with emerging technology, or as contractors are becoming more aware of electrification and learning more, just contractor support is really critical here before, during, and after construction to prevent tenant disruptions and tenant bill increases after construction's complete. So we tried to bring contractors on early in the design process than normal, make sure they receive training on all the products we were recommending, and get their questions answered early on, and just have many touch points throughout the project. So providing that support for contractors is hugely important for pre-commercial technology, but I think it's also important for our industry as electrification becomes more of the norm, and you have contractors who are not familiar with heat pumps, hiking up costs, and just working with them and answering their questions can really provide benefits for owner costs, and then tenant overall maintenance, and avoiding tenant disruption after the fact. I think we also tried to provide education and materials and support for tenants, so not just contractors, like pre and post retrofit and during construction. For our pilots specifically, we're using a lot of emerging technology. Things are confusing, complicated controls, and often if they don't know how to operate the system well, improper operation of the equipment can impact their bills. So we wanted to get ahead of that and provided a lot of materials to tenants and walk them through what systems are in their apartments. And then this is this on here? I might not have included this, but one other point is that for demonstrations and pilots, it is so important to budget for equipment malfunctions ahead of time, not just for the rework, but also to cover tenant bills if other less efficient systems are brought in temporarily. That was not something that was recommended, or not recommended, but not a requirement for our project, and we made sure to budget for it, and it has come in handy just to ease the impact of any product malfunctions with pre-commercial equipment. So that's another huge issue. So I think that's all I had. I think, and now I'll hand it back to Nick to close us out.
Okay, thanks, Gigi. So on this slide, you can see the building owner pledge, and this represents our demand aggregation work, and it's done statewide with affordable housing organizations that generally have larger portfolios. So as you can see here, we've got a little over 60,000 units that have been committed. And ultimately, our goal is to demonstrate enough demand to support a comprehensive statewide retrofit program for multifamily affordable housing. Our research says there's over 200 LIHTC properties annually that are great targets for the type of work we're doing. And we have a goal of trying to retrofit almost 50,000 units annually, all the way past 2030. So a big part of that is going to be driven by whether or not we're able to get pricing down in our retrofit packages per unit. And we're doing that through trying to engage some of these manufacturers so we can negotiate bulk procurement pricing. And as Gigi mentioned, we really need to establish a statewide network of qualified contractors that can not just perform the retrofits, but perform maintenance on the technologies once we're completed. So that is our final slide. And as other folks have mentioned, we would encourage you to reach out if there's anything in the presentation that spoke to you, clearly there's a lot of nexus between attendees on the call, and we'll open it up to questions right now.